little bit about me is I really grew up in and around the culinary world because my dad was a chef by training. So I started working in restaurants when I was young, like 14 years old. Even before that, my dad was teaching me how to flip omelets. Like I remember when I was 7 years old, he'd have a saute pan and I'd put a little towel in the pan and he would show me how to like flip the towel. And then I would graduate to scrambled eggs and then over easy eggs. So at an early age, I was into food for sure. And I thought, I looked up to my dad. He was like a tough guy, and I wanted to have that connection with him. So I was into what he was doing. As I got a little older, I realized that the industry is really challenging. My dad was working nights and weekends, and he wasn't really around all the time. As I kind of finished up high school, I told myself I wasn't going to be in the culinary world or hospitality industry because I didn't want to work all the time, nights and weekends and holidays. But that was short lived because I went to college for the first year, kind of gen eds, and really decided that was not for me either. So I moved out to Utah with some buddies, and the only thing I had experience was in the culinary world. So I got a job at a California cuisine restaurant with a really cool chef, Roseanne Ruiz, and we worked at the Sage Grill, and it was kind of like right in the junction. So all like the ski resorts in Park City, Utah, kind of like met together at this junction before you went down to Salt Lake. And it was a really cool place to work. I learned so much there. And it was working with ingredients I hadn't worked before. They had fresh fish flown in from Hawaii. We went to the farmers markets and worked with so many really nice organic fresh ingredients. And I worked the grill station, and it was an open kitchen. So like some of the people could sit at the bar like right in front of us. And that was just a really cool experience. It taught me how to work clean and work efficiently. And Roseanne, the chef, she was really hard on me, but it really kind of accelerated what I was already into. My dad, I learned a lot from my dad. I was like 19, 20 at the time, but she really put a lot of pressure. She saw talent in me, I believe, and she put pressure on me to really do good. And I worked the grill station, so I really enjoyed that experience. And then during that time, the 2002 Winter Olympics were out there and got to cook for a lot of the athletes. The Jamaican bobsled team was there. It was so cool. They sat right in front of me, and, just a really neat experience. And then shortly after that, 9/11 happened. So I didn't want to be that far away from my family anymore. Didn't have enough money to fly home for the holidays, and I was kind of getting homesick. So I was out there for about 9 months and then went back home to Wisconsin and really made that decision that I wanted to go into the culinary arts. So shortly after that, I moved to Chicago, lived with Aunt Kathy and Uncle Dave, went to Kendall College, and just I couldn't have had a better experience there. Kendall was an amazing time. I met my wife there, Sarah, so that was really cool. Just met a lot of really cool people, worked with some amazing chefs that I still connect with today. The dean was Chef Christopher Ketke, and I'm working with him on a project for developing a sugar-free barbecue sauce right now. So that's the part of college. College these days gets a little bit of flack for being overpriced and maybe not necessary all the time. But I think what's not put in that equation is the relationships that you build from being in college, and that's something that I've taken away with it. Still have a relationship with Kendall now. We have interns that come from Kendall. As I was finishing the first 2 years at Kendall, they started their bachelor degree program, which most culinary schools are associate's degree, and very few had a bachelor degree program. So when I was finishing up, getting ready to graduate, I was all excited, start my career, and they rolled out this bachelor degree program, and wasn't really excited about it, but I was basically bribed by my dad and my uncle to stay in culinary school, get more educated. They always said, you'll always have time to work, which they were right. And that second 2 years of culinary school was even better because they really didn't actually know what they were doing for this program. So they stuck a lot of money into it. And we worked with chefs from all over the world. And it was just every single ingredient you could imagine, different cooking techniques with these different chefs. And it was truly an amazing experience. And kind of solidified like my position on barbecue really is like I'm super passionate about barbecue, but now what I really like to do is fuse international flavor profiles with traditional barbecue techniques, and that's to me, super exciting. There's so much you can do there, and I'm, passionate about it. So that's something that I'll continue to do once we get into, more restaurants and stuff. I'm excited to put some of that stuff on the menu because I think there's a lot of goodness and uniqueness in, different cultures, different flavors with those smoked meats. I think it, something that can't be beat. That's how I got started in the culinary world. And now in the last 15 years, while I was still in school, my uncle and my dad, so in 2000, they sold Sweet Baby Ray's. When they sold Sweet Baby Ray's, we retained the rights to use the name for restaurants and catering. And in 2005, we opened the first Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant in Wooddale, Illinois. Small barbecue restaurant, homemade sides, authentically smoked meats, had way more stuff on the menu than we should have. I probably still do. Really learned along the way. I tell people we've made all the mistakes. So I hope to, through the podcast and through some of the stuff we do online, hopefully I could stop some people from making some of the same mistakes I did because it was tough. It was tough for a lot of years. We thought just with the name Sweet Baby Ray's, things, could potentially be easy, but it didn't end up being that way. At one point, we had up to 3 restaurants. We had the Wooddale restaurant, the Oak Grove restaurant, and a Wrigleyville restaurant. Wrigleyville didn't last very long. The Oak Grove restaurant just closed due to COVID pretty much, and my uncle's business partner with the sauce, Mike O'Brien, he was pretty much done. His kids didn't really want to take over the business. I wasn't, at the time, interested in a full service. That was a sit-down barbecue restaurant. I wasn't interested in taking it over. Today, we have the barbecue restaurant that we started with in Wooddale and the catering business with 2 brands. We have Sweet Baby Ray's Catering, which is everything you expect it would be. It's barbecue, homemade sides, fun, interactive stations and stuff like that. And then we have True Cuisine, which is our higher-end catering company. That's really where we do a lot of weddings, corporate events. We do as much business with Sweet Baby Ray's as we do with True Cuisine. We're excited about growing the business, and after that I'm working on Duce's Wild sauces and rubs and educational barbecue content, and hopefully in the not too distant future restaurants and possibly some more products as well. We're excited, and that's what we're doing today.